Hey everyone, well it's bright and early on a December morning here in Florida, and today we're going to begin on the final project, on the final big project anyway, in the workshop build. And what we're going to be doing is I'm going to be adding a porch to the front, so it'll go over the door across, and it'll have posts. Now there will be a 10-foot gap between the posts so I can still pull vehicles in. The reason that I'm doing this is that in order to get this past the Historical Society codes and zoning and get the permits for it, I did agree to do a porch on the front to kind of change the look so it wouldn't be such an ugly metal building. And we're going to use a similar construction method, if not pretty much the exact same construction method that I used to build the gazebo over the picnic table. So let's take a look at that. I've got early morning Mr. T and Checkers looking for breakfast. So here's the posts and beams. Things get dirty fast in Florida. So we're going to be using the same 6x6 beams, the same post anchors to hold it, and the same basic construction method as this. All right, so Tyrone's on his way. We're gonna get started early. I'll see you soon. Explain what we're doing here.
Right now, this is a ledger board for the lean-to. So this end of the roof is going to tie into this boarding. This is the most important step of all, obviously the height, but also securing it.
Yep.
So we have three 3/8 screws for each. So behind there they have the post, 3x3 post for the boarding. So we screw directly to that post. But all the force of this ledger board is up and down. It's not pulling out. It's just straight up and down.
Right.
So,
and will you be putting a beam like running up under it?
no, this is how it secures to
So
the
it's
wall.
literally just that?
That's it. That's it.
Because even for aesthetics, it might look good to have some type of
You can.
board there.
You can.
I think that's what we did with the cabin, right? Is there a board there?
No, that goes directly to the 2x4s behind the fascia.
Okay. Okay.
I ran a whole new 2x6 across because fascia board is not structural.
Right.
Fascia board is purely for aesthetics.
Okay. Well,
So
maybe we'll do
some
that
people
in
think
the
it's
end.
a structural piece, and I'll put their awnings and connect the awnings to a fascia board, and then when it blows away, they go, "Why did that happen?"
And is this what you're using?
So yeah, because that's metal, we have to use regular straight pine. So this is just a number 2 pine board. If you use pressure treated, the pressure treated will over time rust the panel out.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So you try to keep. It's just a good rule of thumb to always keep pressure treated off of any steel. So if you wonder why you have blue Tapcon screws and white Tapcon screws, well, one is for outdoor pressure treated, and the white ones are for non-pressure treated.
Interesting.
Typically indoor you want to, so if you're doing doors for argument's sake, then your doors and your frames will go through. You can use your white Tapcons on the exterior door only because you're going to bury them into the wood so they never see moisture.
Huh.
But if you use white and pressure treated over time, it'll just rust out. And it'll rust quick. It won't be a couple of years and they'll be rusted out completely. So remember, blue and white.
All right, look at that. So I learned something today. Hope you did as well. We'll be back with the next steps. We are calling it quits for the day because it's starting to rain. Probably won't rain much because it is December. But not bad progress. We got that piece up. Gonna be interesting painting all this stuff and not getting paint everywhere. But tomorrow we'll get started on the beams. All right, we're chalk lining for the posts. All right. All right, so our concrete is about 1/2 inch off.
Yeah.
So technically that end is correct and this end is a 1/2 inch short.
Yeah.
But that shouldn't be too hard to square up.
No. No, we won't even notice it. You can't even see it through the line.
Yeah, you're not going to notice a 1/2 inch because there's going to be a little bit of overhang where the bases go anyway.
Yeah. So the bases are going, because I set the bases 2 foot in off the edge. I like that because the concrete's really thick there, so I can screw it down. But here the concrete's not as thick as that.
There's a full footer on this.
How thick did you do the footer?
Like 12 inches.
You did a 12-inch footer.
It's the same as the building.
Wow.
So you shouldn't have any trouble with that.
Sure, I could probably use bolts then.
Yeah, my guess is that this is a lot thicker than that was.
Oh, you think so? All
I
right.
think so.
All right.
I probably have some pictures of it going in, but this footer goes all the way around.
All right. The footing goes all the way around.
Yep.
What is the S in straight? The S in straight is a string line or a chalk line. Did you know that? You know.
Okay, so you got a square line all the way down.
Basically, the line is here to square up the building.
You're stuck.
Yeah, so the string line is connected right to the other corner of the building, and then you pull it through, and then as soon as you touch there, that'll be your line.
Yep.
So that's your line right there. And then obviously with the builder square, you get your other square. And then if you pull corner to corner, it should be correct. However, this corner here I think is a little off.
A little bit off.
So I've had to go directly off the face of the sheet now, which is, I mean, it's just a lean-to, you know, it's not, we're not building a house here.
Right. I think it'll be fine.
It's just when I'm cutting the rafters, because that gets an angle cut and then you get a bird mouth on this side. You just want to cut one and then replicate the whole lot. You don't have to
Yeah, I agree.
And then the bases.
So we're using the same bases we used
Correct.
for the carport
Correct.
and
We're doing the
for
same
the
installation.
gazebo.
You put it down with 4 tap cons. If that survived the worst hurricane in Florida, I feel safe.
It did. It did. It didn't even shake.
So I think we're good to go. And then we're going to do that, and then we're going to come a foot off there. So we'll come a foot off there, and then that'll be our base.
So we're just going to use these 4. We're not going to put a bolt in the middle.
Yeah, well, we will use 4 tap cons.
Blue or white?
Blue. Because it's going into concrete and it's weatherproof, and we could do screw bolts as well in this kitchen, because you say there's a footage.
Yeah,
footing.
it's a big footer. Yeah.
So you could use a bolt, but I got 4 long tap cons that will go right down.
Those are fine.
The other thing is too, because it's close to the edge, so you've got to use more of a screwing in security, if you want to. So more of a screw-in bolt instead of a bolt that you, like a quick bolt that you push in and then it pushes out.
Yeah.
Because
There's less chance of cracking. With
correct,
the
on the edge of the concrete. If you're in the middle of the floor, then that's fine. A quick bolt can do. On the edges, you'd rather use a screw-in type anchorage.
All right.
I lost my words there a little, but it happens.
Let's get these guys in. I see you got Muggsy.
Muggsy, we've got the cat. He's the safety officer. He never really does much, but he watches. I'll give him a little safety there.
Well, they say cats are untrainable.
So,
all right, so we've got one of the base plates in the corner, and we ran into a problem. When we went to put this one in, the tap cons weren't going in, and that's because in the footer there's rebar. So we got 2 in there. So you want to explain what we're going to use instead if we can't get the tap cons in?
Well, we can now use, because there's a rebar there, we can now use a quick bolt from Hilti, and it's just a 5/8 drill bit. Knock it in, tighten it down, and Bob's your uncle.
And those are $20 a bolt?
Pretty much, they're pretty expensive.
So we're not...
You torque them down with a torque wrench to a torque setting. So that's with Hilti, everything is warranted by Hilti. You know? They're a very good company. So.
All right, I'll call them if a hurricane knocks this down.
Yeah. So, yeah.
All right, do we have any of these or just the one?
I have some at home. I have plenty at home.
Okay.
I'll go get them now. I'll just take early lunch, go get the beam, get the extra column.
Yeah, let's talk about the beam. So at the lumber yard, they basically give you whatever they give you. And we've got the beams here, and one of the beams... Columns, okay.
Columns.
One of these, it looks pretty nasty. The rest are all fine. But this one has this cut in it on one side. I think the other side has another one on it. So we're gonna use this one for
the bracing.
Other things. Bracing, yeah, we're gonna make the big bracing like we have here. So instead of using like that, we're gonna use the leftovers of the beam to do that, which will really look strong and will be strong. But so Tyrone's gotta get another beam and get more of those bolts, and then we'll be back. All right, so we got a vacuum cleaner hooked up to this. So this, as this cuts into the concrete, this pulls the dust through the bit, and the vacuum cleaner takes it out. So you don't have to clean the hole after.
You don't have to clean the hole. So if you want to spend about $300 a bit, but it makes life easy. I'm going to show you. Steel. Tap cons in there.
Hold on. So that one's good, but this one you hit steel, so we're gonna have to...
I actually hit the edge of steel on that one.
Okay.
So that's okay.
Pretty smooth how that bit works.
It's very awesome. It's very, when you got to do chemical anchors, this is the best way to go. So chemical anchors is epoxy, and then in other words, that would be the only difference, is that you put epoxy in there, put threaded rod, and then that would be a chemical anchor.
All right.
So the quick bolt. All right, now. All right, let's see how we set it, 40 pounds. Yeah. Okay, all right. So quick bolt. Bolt is in. Okay. And then for these bolts, you need 40 pounds. There we go.
And then you have to take this head off.
And then I'll just grind that off so that... Yeah, typically you don't need to, but because we're putting a post directly on there.
Yeah, or you could hollow out a bit of the post, probably.
Yeah, so you can go either way. Either way. You know when. How's that? Yeah.
Pretty good.
These are awesome.
All right, so not bad for the close of day 2, technically day 1.5. We've got everything's lined up. We've got all the bases in and in place, secured down. We've got 2 of the posts up, and we've got that. So, yeah, looks like we're on schedule to have this thing totally finished by the end of the week. I'll be back tomorrow. All right, so we're notching these out, which is code.
Yeah, it's a little bit more than code, to be honest.
And so to grind the chips off, you're using this blade?
Yeah, it's what they call a flap disc. We're in the industry are calling it a flap disc. So it's a grinding and polishing flap disc. This is made for metal. It's a 40 grit. So it's super coarse. And it screws right into your grinder, you see. So, yeah.
Yeah.
It's so easy, even a dummy can do it.
Let's see how it works.
That's it. And then simple one.
Pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
Pretty fast.
Very quick.
Wow.
So this is kind of the gauge. You got to be, I mean, it's experience thing, right? It's not super the best way to do it, but
It works.
For this kind of application, it works.
Well, we're only doing 6 of them. So.
Correct. And then the best way is to have a chainsaw grinder with a handle, and it's got a chainsaw blade that comes up and down. They can fit also in a circular saw as well.
Yeah.
And it has a 12-inch bar in it, and that's actually the best thing to use. But
This seems to work pretty well.
I only have a little bit of money, not a lot of money. So I can't buy the best of the best. Only some of the best.
All right, starting to take shape. All 6 beams up, notched, and level. Let me back up a bit. So you can see, we're basically keeping the width of the garage door and most of the height. We'll probably lose a foot. All right, end of day 3. All 6 beams up, this post up, where this cross beam is up and secured. And tomorrow we're going to start putting the beams for the roof and the planks for the roof. So let me back up. Well, that's where we're at. You now get a good look at it. It looks pretty impressive. It doesn't look as small as I thought. It's going to have a high overhang. It's going to look good.
The rafters, and those are joist hangers. So those are joist hangers, which we use as, I use them as rafter hangers.
So we've got the rafters, most of them up. It's a gloomy day today.
Ooh.
And what would you say on the joist hanger? Basically, if there's a hole, put a screw in it.
You got to put a screw in it.
Yeah, you don't want to be skimpy on that.
So the reason why there's no 2 screws there because I put those 2 screws in when I moved this side. But you can see all the screws in there. Those there are long, about 3-inch long screws, so they're very long. But they go through the wood sideways like that. So
And you have to notch out each board.
I notch it out because of there's an angle.
Yep.
So sometimes you get a little bit more than what you need, but we're not bullying the Taj Mahal. It's the other hole.
I think you said that when we were building that. But yeah, it's really taking shape. And it's great. It looks strong. It looks very tough and very tall.
Tall is good. Tall is nice and cool.
Yeah.
Especially in Florida, eh? So everything, the taller you go, the better off. So you won't require like the insulation panels and that kind of stuff because the wind will just blow right through.
Yeah.
You won't feel any of that radiant heat. It's so high up. And
Unless I screen it off.
yeah, if you screen it off, even then it's still so tall. You know, it's so tall. So when it's really around 8 feet, you know, when it's this high, even this high, yeah, you'd probably be around.
Yeah, this is pretty good. I mean, I spent an entire year working under this thing, and yeah, it's good. It's amazing how much oil is still coming through this wood.
Yeah.
And this is the 3rd coat of paint.
Yeah, I'm actually wondering if kilts might not do it too. But there's no
Oh
moisture.
yeah, that's not a bad idea. Can you? Do they make that for outdoor? Can you use that outdoor?
Yeah. Kilts is quite strong. It stops moisture completely, right?
Yeah. Interestingly, the carriage porch right there, which was painted the same time this was painted, is not nearly as bad.
Well, that's also all cedar. So that's cedar, and then that's the columns there are outdoor pine, 8x8s. However, we put that marine paint.
I did on the columns. I put the marine paint.
The marine paint.
But did I use that on these?
I don't think so.
I don't know.
Because these are all pressure treated.
Yeah, I guess.
So, you know, Florida is a funny state. The only thing about Florida is 2 things: moisture and heat. And moisture's everywhere, and the wood will just absorb it. And unless you have like wind on it all the time, drying it off, it's always gonna be dingy. You know, it's beautiful, but it's dingy.
Yep. I mean, if the house wasn't all white trimmed out like that, and these weren't like this to begin with, I definitely would have just stained them with Helmsman and left it.
Stain it is pretty cool.
You know, that would, in my opinion, that would look so much nicer if I didn't paint it.
Yeah, good sanding and then a nice stain.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I'm in the historical district, so I gotta do what they want me to do.
Yeah.
But all right.
Yeah.
When it comes to these, as Tyrone has explained, if there's a hole, put it in. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 9 screws. Nope, there's more than that. Eight, 17. 17 screws. So for each one of these gets 17 of these screws. Crazy. And I got a lot to go. Hey everyone, just a brief interruption here. If you're enjoying this content and you'd like to support my channel, and especially if you like cats, I've written a series of chapter books for ages 8 and up fully illustrated, called Flea Biscuit and Friends. The first book in the series is Flea Biscuit Finds a Home, followed by Flea Biscuit Summer Vacation, and finally, Flea Biscuit's Magic Christmas. They're available at all local booksellers as well as on Amazon.com. I will post a link in the video description. And hey, that's my pitch. Back to the video. All right, got the first corner brace up, and we're going to take a look from a distance. It's big. Oh, I like it. I like it. It adds a lot of strength to it.
Strength and
what were you saying about the fascia?
Well, the fascia, because it looks like it's a little obnoxious because it's long on this side and it's short on the other side, which looks perfect. It looks like it's too much, but with the fascia board going on, you won't see the very top at all. You'll only see part of the top.
Which is fun.
Which is kind of what you want to see.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's great. I know how much wood do we have to do these? We don't have enough to do 4, do we?
No, I've got to get one more piece. I'm hoping to have a cut it at home. If not, I'll just buy a short 8-footer.
Well, yeah, and then that'll give us enough. If we want to build lanterns, we'll have some spare to do that.
Yeah,
well, we got some spare already to do that.
To do the lanterns.
And you're going to put one here, and one on the each side.
So we're going to do one here, and then one on either end. Same, just to match it. You only need one on either end, and that's it, to be honest. But to make it really look good, we'll put an extra 2 in.
Yeah. Sometimes
it makes it nicer. You know, a little extra work makes it look a lot better.
Yep.
It's functional and it's also aesthetically pleasing to the eye. If you like wood, I love wood. So.
Yeah, I hate the idea that I have to paint all this wood, but it's got to match the house.
It'll still look good. It'll still look good. It'll look good. It'll look fantastic.
The monkey seems to be on a mission to get in the workshop.
See, safety officer's back. We will tighten up.
He seemed to be on a mission. He's like, I'm getting in there. All right, great. Hey everyone. It's a somewhat chilly Saturday morning, and we've started the painting phase of the front porch on the workshop. And I wanted to take a minute to show you how we're doing it and what we're doing. Let's get busy. So today's mission is to paint the entire exterior with this Kills 3 interior exterior primer, and then tomorrow we're going to paint the entire thing. Sorry about the shadows. So this is the paint that I'll be using. This is also good for removing mold. So the reason why I went with the Kills 3 was because of what's happened on the gazebo and on the carport is it just gets black with mold. So I'm going to see if this works better, because that paint and primer that I used before it doesn't cut it and it's hard to work with. All right. Not bad for a day's work. Look at how it brightens up the front of that building. Everything's primered. Even the wood that we need for the roof that we didn't have time to put on yesterday because we goofed off for the afternoon. But I primed all that. Tomorrow we're going to paint everything, but it looks real good. I think it's really going to change the look of this building. I'll see you tomorrow. So I find that you can use an empty water bottle as a paint scoop to easily fill your tray. And so all you got to do, I'm doing this from behind the camera, so is find a spot and then cut a small square in the plastic. This knife is too dull for me to do this properly, but we'll manage. You'll note I've already got one. So cut this square out. Okay, so now when you sink it in the paint will fill in there, and then you just lift it up and it'll float as well, so the cap won't get covered with paint, so you won't get paint all over your hands every time you go to take some out of the bucket. So sink it, it'll fill up to there, take it out and pour it, and I'll show you how that works. Got a coat of paint on all the spare boards. And we've got a coat of paint now on that. I've got Juan helping me. You've probably seen him in some other videos. So it looks like we're gonna have our weekend pretty much completed finishing the paint. And so tomorrow, which I believe is December 23rd, we'll get the purlins up for the roof, which are all this. And then right after Christmas, we'll put the metal on. All right, end of day 2. It's completely primed and painted. We've got all the purlin wood for the roof painted, and it looks great. That Kills 3 primer worked really well. Hopefully it will keep the mold down. And here's the paint that I used. This Valspar worked pretty well. Supposedly that helps keep mold down as well. We even took a little time and put a quick wash down of paint on the gazebo, because this thing really outshined it. That thing looked pretty dirty. But yeah, overall, not bad. Not bad for a day's work. All right, want to talk about these parts we're putting in, or these?
So they're called mid blocks. So mid blocks is essentially used in flooring and in wide wood roofing. It stops the what it does is it stops the wood from twisting like this over time.
So because we're only 10 feet across here, we only really need one set. Or are we going to put 2?
No, just one down the middle.
Just one down the middle, okay. And they're offset for screwing them in.
You can put them straight, offset.
Yeah.
You put them straight, you're going to screw the other screw to angle. But as long as it looks neat, they're all good.
Okay.
For what it is, it doesn't, you kind of want it right next to each other, either straight or right next to each other.
Right.
Well, there is a ratio, like how far they have to be, but right next to each other is just as good as being straight. It just stops the wood from twisting.
From bowing in the middle.
So people use metal straps up and down. It's another way they do it.
This is the old school way.
This is the way they did in the old days. Nowadays they'll put a piece of steel from the bottom to the top, and vice versa. And that holds it place. It can't twist and turn and move.
All right.
Because wood is always changing. So moisture is the death of wood. It makes it swell, makes it shrink. Summer, winter, especially in Florida, where it's excessive.
Yeah, I mean, look at today. It was
hot.
like 45 degrees today, and now it's hot, quite hot.
It's as hot as 2 cats in a wool sock.
Which side of the beam going on, right? Or...
If you want to hold, I'll get a screw started. This one's just a little sharp.
Are you high enough there?
No. I need to move your hand. moving the string. Yeah, I'm way off.
You're way low now.
Squeeze under that spot.
All right, so we were just discussing the types of screws we're using here for most of this framing up top. So we've got this one where the thread goes up to about 1.5, and you've got a shorter screw.
This is about 1. This is about 1.5.
Yeah, so, and explain, these are so when you're pulling the boards together, this doesn't get caught threading into the main board, it'll pull the two together.
Correct. So this one here is for uplifting too. So this is more structural. To go through a 2x4 into, to hold the purlins down. Because the purlins is what the structure is, what's holding the whole roof together.
Right, right.
And you can see the difference between the two. So
Yep.
although this is in the bottom board, but all this thread is in the bottom board from about there down, which is what you want, and this is connecting them. But this is to pull two boards typically horizontally like that.
Yep.
So we've got big fascias, 1x10 fascia boards and barge boards for the side. Now for that front fascia we're going to use the long screw because we're going into the open end of the wood, right? So we're going into the grain,
Right.
which
right.
is not as strong as going across the grain.
Yeah, end grain.
So when you go across the grain, it's a lot stronger.
Yep.
But when you go into the grain, it's not as strong. So you need the depth of the screw. And in some cases, you'll actually put an extra block on the inside on edge. Then you'll screw into that grain like that.
Yep, when I put casters on the workbench, that's what I had to do for the end grain. I had to put a
But
block
on this
the end.
case, we're going to bring so this is the fascia. We're going to screw this into the side of the rafter, which is the end grain.
Right,
But
right.
then-
So we're screwing
Correct.
through this into
To the rafter.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes
However,
sense.
the purlin is going to be sitting on top of this. So we'll screw the purlin down onto the top of this as well as onto the rafter.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll tie the two together.
Ties the whole room together.
It ties everything together, you know?
All right, let's get to it. Halfway. All right, a great day's work. All woodwork is done. There's still, touch-up paint, all the caulking and all that. But tomorrow, the roof goes on. So tomorrow's going to be the last real full day of construction. But very happy with how today came out. I mean, we got so much done today. So I will see you in the morning. Roofing's mostly done. We don't have the drip edge up yet, but I just wanted to take a minute and talk about what type of screws to use. So these are sharp point roofing screws. So they basically will cut right in. So we pre-drilled all of the holes. These screws have a washer and a rubber washer / gasket built in. So you'll see when they're put in, the rubber will flatten out and that stops water from getting in. And all you need is a regular 1/4 inch head, and that makes this go by really fast. We pre-drilled all these panels, so we just put them up here and put the screws in. All right, well, I didn't film any of this, kind of just got into it, but all of the roof panels are on and secured, and all we've got left now is the drip edge and the fascia board, and I guess we'll probably tackle that another day. But you can see this is 1 p.m. and you can see the sun is completely off that wall. I got Muggsy over there, and here comes Mr. T. They saw me come over here. They're like, "We going in?" It's like, "No, we're not going in right now." Anyway, I'll back up. It looks complete now with the roof on it. You can see it darkens up the workshop inside when you open that door. But that's okay. The main point is to keep the heat off of that wall. Tyrone is on his own today because I have the flu and I don't want to go near him. And so he's put all the drip edges up. He's cut all this, and so the next step is, I just didn't really like how these posts sat on their own, so we got a couple more beams. We're gonna make rails to go in between. Instead of using balusters, I thought it would look tougher if we actually used more 6x6 beams with post bases, which I got. So yeah, we'll be putting those back, and well, he will. I actually have to work today, and I'm too sick to really do this anyway. All right, so there's the T-braces. Really just a railing that we put in. They'll be painted white, of course. I may tackle that tomorrow, but I'm a bit under the weather today. So basically the drip edge is in, the flashing is all in, the T-braces are in. The only thing left for tomorrow is the lanterns, and that's similar to those. But yeah. All right, so here's our new lantern design. It's mimics that to a bit, but it's going to mount differently. They're going to actually mount right up against the posts. So we're using what's left over of the 6x6s to make that. Tyrone designed these.
Well, it's only one of many, but we'll go with this one.
All right, so Tyrone is showing me a new skill using this tape. So what are you doing?
So it's probably a little excessive for this, but I'll show you how to do this. In normal woodwork, when I do woodworking, and I want a nice perfect 90 degree to stay together before I nail it, because it keeps it in place. So you can see how we've made this. This is the back edge.
Yeah.
You can throw some tape across it, and then you make sure that you're nice and square there, and you're touching each other. You can use any tape that sticks. And you make sure it touches each other. Yeah. Don't worry if it drops down, because it touches. Okay. And then you put nice and down. You can do like this.
Oh yeah, no kidding.
And holds it all together. So now when you nail it, it'll help keep it in place while you're nailing it. It doesn't move. Instead of you trying to bobble it together. Obviously experienced guys They know what to do, right? For the new beginners, this is an easier way to keep everything together.
Huh, I'd never seen that before. That's cool. Okay, lanterns are all cut down to the proper size. We had a problem. The height was putting it so it wasn't getting any sun. Well, we're getting very little anyway. But now they'll get sun for 4 to 6 hours a day at least. Depending on which season, it could be 8. But that'll fix that. So all that's left really now is caulking. That's our last step. All right, so today it's finally warm enough out. What I'm gonna do is just caulk up a lot of the gaps and things like that. Got a couple of seams here. And this is pretty straightforward, pretty easy stuff, so I won't spend a lot of time on it. You can just use this regular white door and window caulk. Use latex, it's easier to clean up, and you can smooth it out just with a sponge and water. And that's pretty much it. And then we're done. This one is a bit wider a gap. So, mostly this is for aesthetics. And then you've got some rough spots here. You can take your extra and just kind of put it in there. It'll dry pretty much the same white as this paint, so it's pretty easy to use. I got this guy here is a good gap. All right, that's it. The caulking's done. And other than putting a third coat of paint on it in a few weeks, once the oil starts coming out, and maybe a fourth coat later on, this project is done. And this is the last major workshop project, unless of course I put a screen room on this, which, you know, maybe someday. But special thanks to Tyrone. He really came through. I mean, this is his line of work. He loves doing this stuff, and he did a great job on this. He was tuned in as I made little changes, like the posts and railings that we put in, and even building the lanterns and stuff. And, you know, he had to take over and do all of it, even without an assistant, when I was down with the flu for a few days, other than coming outside and seeing what he was doing and critiquing it. So special thanks to Tyrone. He did a great job. I'm really happy with this. I'm really happy with how it came out. I'm sure the Historical Society is going to be pleased with how it looks. And hey, if you enjoyed this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps me, it helps the channel grow. And you know, I mean, this really transformed the way this building looks, and it's not that hard to do. I mean, I think we did it in a few days. I think the material expenditures were maybe $3,500, maybe 4,000 total, even with paint and caulking and primer and brushes and all that. So, you know, you can do something like this. We showed you most of the steps. If you've got any questions, leave it in the comments and I'll make sure that either myself or Tyrone answers you. But it's a great project, and if you want your ugly metal building, or square metal building, let's say, to look like something else, this is a great idea. This works fantastic. All you need to do is go out, get busy. Take care.